the animals have their secret world, and during the night, we put on clothes and we pull out our guns and we do our crime, and that's our thing. During the day, all that stuff needs to get hidden away so that the humans don't know about our world. I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds.
Alright, so we're diving back into Zoo Mafia RPG. It is a tabletop role-playing game that Nerdarchy is working on and developing. This is, I believe, our 8th design diary already. So that means we've done 7 more. We'll have to put a link somewheres up here so you can check it out. Also, we've been playing Zoo Mafia on as a live play on the channel as well. So we've been exploring it, and today we're going to explore more specifically, the high concepts of Zoo Mafia.
This is one that I think has been long coming to kind of like really explain what it is that this game is about, how you play, like not the mechanics of it, but like what is it that you do.
Yeah, exactly. The high concept for a role-playing game is that, right? What are you doing in this game? What is the purpose, right? In Dungeons and Dragons, you kind of go out, fight monsters, find treasure, delve dungeons, and other games, it's going to be different. And for us, this is no different, right? We need to come up with a concise, like, what do you do when you sit at the table to play this game?
And is it more specific than, do crime and go wild?
It does need to be more specific than do crime and go wild. But like literally, that was our first high concept that we started with, right? And think of kind of like an umbrella, and that's the peak of the umbrella, and then you kind of like work your way down from there. Right. So, initially it was, we want to have zoo animals that live in a zoo, and, there's humans and zookeepers around during the day, but at night they are doing crimes. They've segregated themselves off into different families of crime organizations. And there's also normal zoo animals that are more like your civilians, and even some flatfoots or cops running around as well that are trying to like maintain the peace.
Indeed. And when you begin to make all of this stuff, come together, it's like, all right, well, once you have a backdrop of where this is all happening, and for intensive purposes when, and we felt like the 1920s era was kind of like the time when this kind of mafia style life was available. Like now we have a when, but now the high point of, well, what is it that you do? What do the players get to do in such a game that isn't just like, let me just limit my imagination?
If you want to stay kind of in the know and join the family for Zoo Mafia, and also get access to the quick start rules when we release them for free, the best place to do that is going to be the Zoo Mafia newsletter. ZooMafia.com will take you right there. There will be a link in the description, and also one of these cards up here so you can sign up. We're not going to bother you, harass you, or shake you down for anything other than Zoo Mafia stuff. We're also in the description, you can find a playlist to the live play that we're playing as well. And you can also go check out the previous design diaries to see what this is all about.
All right, so why did we wait so long to kind of come up with this, high concept video?
We did have high concepts going into the game and initial design, but we waited because they've been changing. And, during our live play test, that's kind of like our alpha, right? Like we came up with a really loose rule structure based on Powered by the Apocalypse rules. And really, I mean, it's even more so based upon Monster of the Week, because that's the Powered by Apocalypse game that we have the most experience with, and we just really like that game, and we felt like the mechanics could be retooled to work with what we're doing.
So if we've got some tooling, what have been, the evolutions of these high concepts?
So I think the first thing that got really specific with our high concept by doing the live play, and it also tied directly to mechanics as well, and that is the concept that, the game starts at the beginning of a mafia war. And there are three main factions that are warring for supremacy. Your zoo is big enough to contain maybe 2 mafias, not 3. And, so the players start the game. They're not actually part of any mafia. They start the game as a mob, and a mob is 1920s, 1930s slang for a gang, right? So they're not actually in yet. They haven't been made, but they want to be made. So to me, that was actually a great high concept of and really does say, well, what is this game about? Is it about doing crime? Yes, but more specifically, it's about doing crime so you can get noticed and made into one of these mafias. And so at the beginning of the game, you kind of pick one of the mafias you would like to join. Obviously, it's a role-playing game, so you're not really super constrained, and these things can change, and your players might do something crazy, be like, no, I want my own mafia. But in the beginning, you start, and then we tie mechanics directly to that high concept.
Right. And, that's where the specific dice rules come in, and that's probably going to be our next video, is going over the dice, how we're using them, how they have changed from, Monster of the Week, and even throughout the editions of, what we've changed over the course of just our first handful of playthroughs. But, when we look at the different aspects of this crime war that's going on, that's a great backdrop that you can put into your game when you decide to run this, that just because your mob is trying to do crime and get noticed, there can be other crimes that are going on that maybe the characters witness, that they might be able to either rat on or try to put the all right, well, you give me some of that cut because I saw you do it and I can just go tell this person, so however you want to do the crime, whatever layers you want to build on, you can have fun with.
So I think our high concepts as of right now break down, and we're still playtesting and we're still going through and experimenting. So these could even change, but at its core, the high concept, you're playing an animal that lives in a zoo. Boom. That one's probably not going to change. Your animal is also a criminal. Not going to change most likely. The idea that the game starts at the beginning of a mob war, that one could change, right? We like it right now. I think it works really well. If nothing else, I think it's going to be one of the high concepts that sticks, as in, this is the primary way we're using the game. But, we probably will give some guidance on using it in other ways. So that has actually worked out really well. And I want to say right now, there are the 3 core tenets. Oh, the 4th one would be, you can't let the humans know, the zookeepers know that you're an animal that does people stuff.
And that's one of the things that we really talked about this in the last game that we did, kind of after we gave a 10-minute kind of extra thing on the rules, the vagary of the animals. We've got them wearing clothes and using guns and what have you. Some of the art very much is the warthog's got hooves, not fingers, but how do you fire a gun without fingers? And how do you do all of these criminal things? So we have got this, vagary paintbrush that's drawn over top of, are they anthropomorphic animals or not? And we're allowing, each table that decides to play, you get into the specifics of how it works in your world, your game. Because for us, it does not matter. That's not something that we feel needs to be defined or, needs to, really be, shined a flashlight on. From my perspective, when I play, the animals have their secret world, and during the night, we put on clothes and we pull out our guns and we do our crime, and that's our thing. During the day, all that stuff needs to get hidden away so that the humans don't know about our world. But that's just my take, and the other players in the game might view things differently, and that's okay.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that will go into the actual rules is here's how we're doing it. This is how we designed it. But if you need more structure and these specifics defined for you, here are some ways to do that.
Mm-hmm. So how should and do these high concepts affect the play style and the mechanics of Zoo Mafia?
All right, so right from the beginning, we kind of talked about the fact that, when we started it, when I pitched the session 0 to you guys, mm-hmm. I was like, well, here's where I want to start the game. and which clearly defines what, not only what you're doing, but why you're doing it, right? Like you're committing crimes, but you have a specific purpose for committing these crimes. So that's why you guys are working together, because you want to get into a mafia. You want to get made, whether it's for the prestige, the money, the girls and guys, whatever it is you're looking for, right? Like, that's why you want to do it. And that kind of like defined like the play style as far as like how your group interacted with each other. So you really form this tight knit gang that is loyal to each other. Right, there's some honor among these thieves. But then also I was like, well, if we're going to do that, right, if we're going to be like, okay, you're working for this one crime boss, what do the other crime bosses mean to you? And that's where we came up with the concept that one would be your enemy, one would be your ally, the one you're trying to get into, and one would be neither an ally or an enemy, but it could go either way, and it might change from session to session, campaign to campaign, which then began informing the mechanics and playstyles, because Powered by Apocalypse, generally you only use 2 die 6. Zoo Mafia uses 3 die 6. And we won't get into the specifics of the dice and how they work in this video, because we've talked about them in others, and we're going to do a specific video breaking down, all the dice mechanics.
And really having that flow, I think was definitely a lot of fun, and you came up with this really great concept, and that led through gameplay to some other questions that we kind of talked about off air last night, which I thought was definitely a lot of fun. And when we have these elements of the high concept informing the mechanics, and creating this very unique system that you came up with, I thought it was an absolute blast, and I'm having so much fun with this game.
Well, hopefully you folks will agree, and you'll bring it to your tables and have a ton of fun with it. Like we said, you can leave your comments below what you think. Have you been watching the playtest? Have you watched the other design diaries? Give us some feedback of what you think, how things are going so far, and share your thoughts and ideas with the Nerdarchy community.
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, even go ahead and click on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video.
Quick reminder, we drop new videos here on the channels Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so come on back. But you can't wait till then. No worries, we've got you covered. The last Zoo Mafia RPG design diary we did was about the playbooks, and it's up here in this card.
So until next time, stay nerdy.